Have you ever wondered why in this modern day and age of software engineering, vibe coding, agentic, SDLC, why you are still using 20 different tools, CLIs, portals, orchestrators to do platform engineering? And yet there you are, still maintaining documents, maintaining those self-service features. And maybe you have tried AI and you have asked an agent to deploy anything. And it did exactly what you wanted. It deployed anything and everything. Probably not in the way that you have envisioned. But here's the thing. If we steer these agents in the right way, we can use them to our benefit. What if an agent would be able to just get your intent, get your constraints, get the context that it needs to build a great platform just the way that you have envisioned it, and be able to deploy a secure, scalable, and compliant app platform? Yes, that's totally possible. And we have created a project for you, which is called Git Ape, where Ape stands for Agentic Platform Engineering. It's like platform engineering, but for the modern age. Because for years we had all of these tools standing between us and the platform. The platform exposed an API, and we needed all of those tools. We needed the CLIs. We needed these translators of our intent into something that the API would understand. Schemas, specific API calls, all of that. And we can do it differently. But talk is cheap, so let's take a look at what Git Ape can provide you with. So Git Ape is an open source project and it is deployed as a plugin. So if you install the Git Ape plugin, you get a few agents and a few skills with that. First, we are going to onboard this repository. And when we say onboard, we mean that we will set up a GitHub repository to use Git Ape's CI/CD pipelines for Azure deployments. It will cover Entra ID configuration, OIDC federation, role-based access control, and GitHub repository setup. So first, we are going to call the Git Ape onboarding agent and ask it a friendly question: onboard this repository. Now, as you will see, what it first will do is it will check for the available tools and skills and CLIs if everything is there to set us up for success. Now, as a part of this onboarding, it might ask us a few questions, but first it tries to auto-discover your GitHub repository URL. If it is not there, it will ask you. The same goes for the Entra ID app registration name. So you see this going through the checks. Now the next question is if I want to use a single environment or multi-environment. Separate subscriptions per stage, dev, staging, and prod is certainly supported by Git Ape out of the box. The agent will very friendly help me. So I'm gonna go and choose a single environment. So the next question is, what is the subscription idea? So we'll check if the subscription is ready for use and we'll continue with the RBAC role. I can choose what kind of role to apply to the service principal. So I'm gonna choose contributor mode. Of course, this is a demo. I'm gonna go with most of the things it suggests. So we'll gather all the data and formulate a plan. Now, as soon as it formulated a plan, I can go over it and it will ask me before I want to continue. I choose to continue and we go further along the onboarding process. Now, as part of my onboarding, it will ask me already if there is a compliance framework that we should use for policy recommendations. So I'm gonna choose NIST and it will ask me how I want to enforce this. So I'm gonna choose audit only and it will go and of course notify me that this is an experimental tool. So I can choose here if I want to have all my deployment plans in a pull request and have a human review before merging it to main, or if I just want to say to the agent, go and deploy this. For the sake of the demo, we will deploy this right away from the CLI. I'm going to submit my choice, and it will make a note that the workflow action is deferred. So it will show me some next steps and some verification commands. I blurred some out because of privacy, but I have all the tools here and the pointers to actually start and do my deployment. So now everything is ready to deploy my application to Azure. So let's go and take a look at how we can actually deploy now this application to Azure in a safe, secure, and compliant way with just one call to an agent. So now I am ready to deploy. So I switch my agent to the Git Ape agent. Of course, I could use all these skills separately, but I'm going to use the agent because this is the best, most user-friendly experience. I'm going to ask it to deploy my app. Now, I already did the onboarding, so a lot of the stuff that it needs to know, it already knows. I'm going to choose the region I want to deploy in. Since I didn't specify it, I'm going to go with West Europe today. It will ask me which environment to deploy to. This is a function app, so it asks me what plan I should use. I'm going to go with the cheapest one. And it will ask me how I want to name my services and my resources on Azure. So it's going to go over generating a template, but as part of this whole process, it goes through a security analysis and it needs to pass a security gate. It will create a report of everything it does here. So if it moves a bit fast, you can always read it before you actually give it the approval to deploy. There's a principal architect looking at the well-architected framework. Of course, this could point to any documentation that you will have. There's a cost manager that will tell me that this costs $3 a month. So I'm aware of the cost before I deploy it. Now, of course, there's a compliancy check, security check, architecture check, well-architected framework review, and this generates all of these documents that we can review and we should review before we actually start deploying. So everything is saved in the deploy directory here, and I can go and select each one of them. So there's an architecture document with architecture diagrams, and this is actually up to date with what is actually being deployed. There's an assessment of the policies being in use, which will look at the existing policies as well, just in case that if there is already a policy but it isn't applied yet, it will look both for the resource but also on subscription level and give you some advisory. The cost will be a very detailed chart that you can use to look at the services, and you can reason about it with the agent if it's too expensive. Now, it will look at your security posture. This is well documented, and you can go and read this. And of course, it's up to you to supply it with what the gate actually should be. Everything looks good. I'm going to deploy it, and it will go and deploy this to Azure. It will monitor the process and keep you up to date on the progress, and it will validate if the deployment is actually working. It will give you a nice and very crisp description of what has been deployed, where it is deployed, where you can call it, all of the URLs, all of the links, all of the documentation that you will need. And of course, it can do a lot more. But this is what we can show you in these 3 minutes, and it's already a lot to unpack. It's an open source project, so please go check it out on github.com/azure/git-ape, and you can find our source code, and you can extend it, modify it, and do a pull request and make it better. Let's make sure that we can, not vibe engineer our platform, but we can do proper agentic platform engineering.